Welcome to a Orthon. It's a relatively small map. It's pretty common, honestly. People like it. Seem to like it, at the very least. Alright, well, it's going to be OSP, Team 2 on the orange, and ANS in the blue, as it always is. ANS has 3 golds. OSP has 2 blues. Uh, those are experience rankings, essentially, in Nebulous. They don't tell you how good the player is, they tell you how experienced the player is. Experience and quality of play go hand in hand, but they aren't necessarily always related for everybody. We've got two 450 liners. Two 450 liners from Snowfox. Wolfie. Let's see. Wolfie bringing the sextuple brick. These might be a little bit cheap. These are almost randomly named, but not quite. We have Skull Squad with the... looks to be a Tug Swarm. Tug Swarms can be pretty good. That's 10 tugs. The average cost of these tugs is 30 points. There's a lot of weapons on those tugs. Alrighty, and lastly, we're going to have player 1 with an Ocello. Sarissa on the Ocello. I believe the Sarissa is almost always a good play. And 2 little support monitors to clear off any of the smaller threats to player 1. And 1 little spotter ship. Probably going to be working overtime this game. This is a capture the flag game. C, B, D, E, all the natural points. A, the one in the middle, the one to decide it all. Though Aorta being an odd map, I think is normally not the deciding factor. On the other side, we have Italian Matt, if I remember correctly, a very old player. Not old as in age, as in a player who's been playing since the game came out. Italian Matt, the Battleship, and the Support Jammer. Airwave Activist, and Shell Game. Deep Fried with Deep State, the hybrid packing. I think they introduced it as the gold-plated Axford. It's a 3,000 point Axford, nothing else on it. The missile Axford with a laser. The laser, honestly, a solid pick. When you pick only missiles, sometimes there's the incentive to wipe everything that is not a missile away. Forgo the radars, forgo the PD, forgo the DC, forgo any weapon at all, and you become exceptionally vulnerable to everything. And by keeping that laser on here, Deep Field has, whether they know it or not, has primed themselves to not try and shave all those things away. They've kept to the idea that the ship will enter combat, and so I think that that's probably a great idea. M.M. Roberts. MMR Roberts. Bringing the Laser Battleship. The Laser Battleship, probably a solid pick on this map. Though, especially with what they're up against, they don't know it. They don't know that there aren't, some mass drivers up here on the map, which could cause some hectic trouble for the beam battleship. The beam battleship probably going to be very useful here. Roberts's SAC, SAC, an aux steering only. You can DC locker with an aux steering? Okay. Alright. The throwaway ship, no CIC in it, barely functioning. Little more than a piece of metal with an engine on it, has slipped onto A to capture the point, and without anything to contest it, it will capture the A point. Can't defend itself. Two little screener ships. Do they both have ELINTs on them? They both have ELINTs on them. Those are the passive radar sensors. Oh no. The missiles going to immediately hit the rock. Almost an excellent move from Deep State, Deep Field. Ray T4. So, just so you know, Roberts, Italian Matt, and Ray T4 are the three golds. They're the experienced players. HMS Curiosity, HMS Knowledgeable, Inquiry, Wisdom. Oh, this is the Intel Center. This is the Intel Center destroyer. A rare one. I hope it gets comms down here. I'm not sure if it does. I think it does. Hawk, Harrier, missiles, the flavor of the day from ANS. ANS could bring beams, but they have chosen missiles this game. Shell game, it looks like, has been... No, shell game has not been spotted. Limit and window has been spotted and will spot. If not with the radar, with the internals of the ship, where the enemy is. And limit and window is eviscerated that quickly. CIC basic unable to do anything about it. This is a ton of firepower. Those are HESH shells coming in. That's a waste of HESH shells, but good lord. It has been a while since I have seen one sprinter so dead there. Roberts seeing the mighty firepower of OSP. OSP does have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to gun firepower around the corner. And that's going to be First Blood. First Blood. Still spotted. Seeing it's a sprinter, they've wisely decided not to waste any more ammo on it, and they absolutely do not need to. The number of shells that poor little sprinter just ate. It's a surprise any lifeboats managed to get out. Curiosity. Spyglass, and the Rockabye. Missiles. Who's next? ANS has the A point. ANS does not need to push or do anything. They could just wait this out. They have 3 points, which means OSP. It's on OSP to do something to change the game. And sadly, players won't always do that. I believe Skull Squad is the gold on the OSP's team. And they have the frigate, or the Tug Swarm. The Tug Swarm is nothing to sneeze at. They have 1, 2, 3, well they have 10 250 cannons. And maybe that's not as many as a container, as a bulk freighter. But these guys can carry jammers. They can carry secondary guns. They can carry mines, missiles, all manner of other funny things. And when one dies, they don't lose everything. And they are spotted. One of them has been locked, I believe, by Deep State over here. Yeah, Deep State has locked them. We're gonna have to see what happens here. They're going to fire at Deep State. Deep State may not be able to do anything about this. However, Deep State is pretty lucky because they have the armor of a heavy cruiser, which is just about strong enough to withstand almost everything that the Tug Swarm can throw at it. Tug Swarm will do a little bit of chip damage, but it should not be anything substantial. These ships behind the Tug Swarm are much more frightening for a heavy cruiser. big C-90 cannon is capable of punching through just about any armor. Calm. Deep Field's just going to move the ship back behind this branch of stone, this asteroid, and has been very calm. I probably would have panic launched some missiles at that. Curiosity always kills me. And there we... Oh, Curiosity is going to kill Skull Squad. Oh, but barely. It's at the edge of the range, that 5,000 range. The beam is not super powerful at 5,000 meters. Signature elevated. Oh, the double raider. I admire it. You don't see a double raider very often. I think waiting for that ship to enter into range or moving away, this is almost certainly a waste of ammo. The battleship has even more armor than the heavy cruiser. And it is moving steadily closer. It is closing the distance. It wants a murder. But I don't think... Oop. It will get one. It will get one murder at the very least. But now the other ships are here. These ships will be able to do terrible damage here. The shells by themselves not going to punch through the armor, but this plasma opens up the holes in that armor for the shells to slip through. Another laser. Deep Field, these two laser capital ships going to do probably some work. We'll have to see how this works out. The real game is how fast this plasma and these monitors disable this battleship. A Skull Squad doesn't have to worry too much about taking damage because the damage they take will be honestly superficial. 3,000 and there they go. They start splitting the lasers, and you have to split the lasers here, I think. I think you may want to battle short a couple of them. Not battle shorting any of them. That's, yeah, one of them's out. One of the beams is out. That's a pretty big deal. CIC is out. That's a good one. They are prioritizing a little bit. Coordinating, shooting the same things. The engine is out. Here come the missiles. The missiles finally coming in. I think that there's going to be enough PD here to eliminate them. There they go, those blue lasers from OSP. An OSP unique. There we go. One more gun taken out. This missile's not going to get through. Shoe is down. That's one monitor. This is a pretty intense and even slugfest. You don't see these too often, Nebulous, with how fast ships can die to missiles and other things. Sometimes it just never happens. Hawk, I think, is trying not to get into the action, but they have accidentally gotten into the action. Doesn't matter how many missiles you launch, if those... It keeps happening. Eventually one of the ships might burn their laser out or something, but honestly it's gambling. Some guns. Shell Game getting in on the action. Shell Game is going to make this work out a whole lot better. This becomes 3 fleets versus 2 fleets. Edged Arch trying its best, but it is slowly falling apart in here. They have taken way too much damage. The beams are coming out, but the beams are not staying on. I think power just went out on the ship. Battleship will be able to fix itself, but it needs a little bit of a breather if it's going to do that. I think Edged Arch is crippled from now here on out at this point. And the attrition will just keep mounting from Skull Squad and Wolfie. If they can finish this battleship off, I think it will totally be worth it, and I think that they will, because they've disabled it at this point. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of how many shells before this thing goes down. They just have to manage to avoid dying to these other things. And the missiles have found another target, a much more easy target, a target by itself, OSP and Nasal. Nasal? Nasal firing those guns, those 6 guns. And a lot of ammo elevators, so they're going to fire a little bit like more than 6 guns. These missiles are going to suppress the ship pretty substantially. Manages to dodge some of them. It's not dead, it's not crippled, but that's definitely not ideal. I think that they took the CIC out for a couple of seconds there. Edged Arch trying its best to survive. There's not much to do. I think the radars are probably off. The beam should be. Come on, beam, you can do it. Every launch of the beam is a deadly, deadly event. Potentially game-changing. And now at this close range, the beam is going to do much more damage. There goes the gun, there goes the reactor, there goes the CIC. Hobby, the next casualty. Edged Arch still dishing it out. 1 also going to take damage from State. The missiles coming in, making sure it's dead. Shell game, trying its best, but I think that their only targets are these little ships. And these little ships, they have the power. All those jammers out there to mostly survive these oversized shells shooting at them. They're so small the shells will pass right through them or will simply not hit them. Those interceptor missiles, oh no, it's a good thing they have that frag damage that doesn't get through armor, because that was, we just witnessed an uh-oh. Those missiles, this is a default fleet. Those interceptor missiles look like they need to be a little bit quicker or a little bit longer range so that they try and intercept something at a longer range here. Ah, there they go. They worked perfectly that time. Maybe we just saw a bad one. Rockabye missiles. Active radar command. These ships are a little bit out of place. They could be further up here doing excellent work, taking out Edged Arch or a battleship, and that's really what these two 450 bulkers are for. That's their main purpose. They're what they're good at. Though they are also kind of good at taking missiles. Missiles do a fixed amount of damage, and you know, the bulk freighter is just so large that it takes more firepower than is practical really from missiles to take them out. So they're just gonna sit here and eat the missiles. Inquiry going to slide down here to C. This is pretty important. Harrier has died trying to take B. We've been focused on the gunfight over here above E, and we have missed the developments on the map because the OSP has taken the B point. Oh, OSP took the B point. No, they had it. What did they take? They took the E point. That's right. We saw that. Getting a little mixed up here. Lots going on. And that's going to take back C. Nothing really to contest them on C. Riti doing the work where the rest of the team, the 3, are focused on taking these 2 fleets out. Edged Arch probably useless at this point. Taking shell after shell. Nasal going to probably get the finishing blows here. It's rare you see an Ocello kill a battleship with guns, but they're gonna pick it up. And these ships, Wolfie, it looks like, not bothering to finish off the battleship. They know it's crippled, and they're probably going to turn onto State down here. I'm not sure what Skull Squad's planning on doing. They've lost 4 ships, but it looks like they're pulling off. The work here is done. 1 battleship is basically crippled at this point. Deep Field is also similarly crippled. They could repair just about everything on the ship, but it's a lot of time that's going to be lost. That's a lot of missiles that have been lost. That's a beam that's down. For what? A couple of couple of little ships. Duck, Skull Duck, has exploded. Herd of Josh, roasted. But they're both dead. Reactor explosion mainly just means that ships nearby will take extra damage. Gag and Metal. Gag and Metal, it looks like, has had a little bit of an oopsie, fallen behind. The engine must not be working 100%. And that's not a joke. The thrusters are out. It's trying its best, but it's just not fast enough. So it's probably a remaining casualty here. Pretty beautiful gunfight over E. That was pretty exciting. And it looks like Final Orders is going to... well, Harrier's dead. Perhaps Final Orders cannot see the Knowledgeable right next to them. Knowledgeable, do you have more missiles in the tank? No, you do not. You have one arming missile. Wisdom, hiding below the entire map, getting probably really good data on everybody. Player 1, playing the points, taking the A point with the Ocello. Who can stop them? Nobody can stop them because ANS is distracted by this gutsy push down here. I think that Wolfie may not get away. These monitors are really slow, and the battleship is equipped to finish them off. Rut, CIC, engine. It's got nothing left to do, so it's just going to slide up here to the D point, and if it gets the D point, it's a bonus. Things to do with almost dead ships. Alrighty, what's next? Until the end, taken out by missiles from Curiosity. Curiosity, RT4, doing the back cap work and doing a lot of damage. Snowfox may be a little bit unfamiliar with the game. I think player 1 and Snowfox are the clues. And that's to be expected. When you're new to the game, it's pretty overwhelming. Root, it looks like they've found it, and they're going to finish shooting at it. Shell game seems to have stopped. Shell game has decided that it's not worth playing the shell game anymore. Have they lost their tracks? No, they haven't. Hang on. Alright, what's it gonna be? We've got Snowfox. Still back here. Snowfox does have a lot of firepower, so if they run into a battleship or something similar, there's a good chance that they win. These bulkers are capable of doing those things. I don't think that they've launched any of their missiles yet. They might not know how to. Edged Arch has one beam on, and it's going to be doing its work. Staying alive, keeping relevant. The mag is out, the magazine is out, and that means that this ship can't fire. That's a lethality kill from one beam. Bore from player 1 has exploded. At this rate, OSP will win. this all. Nasal. Find its state. State has a beam. State has the beam. The beam should be able to kill Nasal. It just has to get on target. And there it goes. Oh, it looks like it's already hit. It's sliding through and killing the bottom here. The backup magazine. It's doing its work. It's good to have a backup magazine a lot of the time. Bottom of the ship is being lasered to death. Oh no, the missile's coming in from the top, getting the other side of the ship. The CIC is out. There's a chance... probably not. It looked like a battle short came out from deep state, which means it can't fire for a while. It's repairing the laser. I think ANS is going to get this 8 point with a deep state, but OSP and Nasal repairing the CIC. It might come back up. They might be able to get off. They do have an aux steering, which allows them to move. Prevents the ship from being completely helpless in this moment. It just can't fire back. It can still move. Fighting shadows out here on the back of the map. Space is dark and full of scary things. People are very scary. So I fully understand what Snow Fox is currently experiencing. Flesh of Julina is down. Filana U Joey. Edged Arch is still getting kills. Reasons to finish off battleships. Reasons to have a bunch of torpedoes in your tank. Like 8 torpedoes probably would have finished this off. Made sure it was absolutely dead. The only issue is that who's going to bring the torpedoes? You want to bring them on a monitor? There's a good chance it just dies. You know, actually, that gives me an excellent idea for a fleet. Yeah, it does actually. I'm thinking about it and I'm liking it. I'm gonna have to put that together. If you want to know what it would be, it'd be 4 or so monitors. Honestly, I like never use these guys. You give them plasma, you give them this, you give them this. They look basically like this, but you have one of these guys follow, but he has the size 3 missile launchers, so he can launch some torpedoes. And that little ship would just follow around these guys and make sure that they can finish off whatever these guys can disable, because these guys are pretty good at disabling things. It takes a lot of ammo to kill things. The guns are going every which way. Nasal decided to stick to the 8 point, has died on the 8 point. There may be more ammo brought to bear here. Deep State is going to be taking fire from Saint. Saint does not have a big C90 cannon, and so the stopping power may not be there. Final orders. You guys just need to turn. You're probably in range. Just turn and shoot. And I can't tell if they are. It looks like they are. Deep State might be in for a world of hurt here. I think they're going to get the point, though. And here go the 450 shells. This should have been going on a lot earlier in the game, but nothing ever comes out perfectly. 450 shells, much larger, going to land on the ship. They're going to do some damage. Some of them are going to hit at the very least. That is one of the issues with the OSPN fleet. They sometimes are not super accurate, especially if they don't have a lock, and they don't. Tracked by enemy sensors, not locked. Though, Deep State will slowly take the damage, and with that weakened armor, HE shells can do a lot of work. But look at this. Look at the points at the top. OSP has managed to get plenty of points. And if nothing changes, they will still win. ANS still needs to grab another point, and it looks like... Oh, nope. This ship has been disabled. It might get the sea point. Inquiry should honestly be hopping on the sea point right now. But they gotta go back and get E. They gotta go get D. Fraud. Fraud has slipped up here. Fraud capable of fighting any of the smaller ships with those small caliber cannons. Final orders and no other way. Getting some firepower out here. The laser is down. Deep State can slink away. The thrusters are pretty damaged. So it looks like they're going to be taking a whole host of shells. Some lifeboats coming from somewhere. Oh, from the Ocello. Walking through the firing range. Dangerous times when you're a lifeboat. This has been a pretty miraculous gunfight, all things considered. OSP has more points right now, but ANS has more ships. ANS may not know that, though, because ANS, this ship and this ship are so crippled at this point that ANS might be feeling a little bit defeated at this. But they are not. They are absolutely not defeated. The sheer number of ships destroyed here is overwhelming. And ANS Ray T4 has definitely been making it feel, must have been making it feel like there are just more ships than there really are out on the map. Rockabye missiles going to disable most of the ship. 2 more coming in. Bonk, bonk. OSP and Saint is still alive, but crippled. And so you have to ask what's left from OSP. Skull Squad and Wolfie are almost entirely dead. There's one join right here. Join's on E, making sure that it's held. Airwave Activist going to be unable to move join off. Oh, but they may be able to take the point. Join, though, has some serious firepower. There we go. The drive is out. The reactor is out. Join trying its hardest to get down onto that E point, but I think it's going to be too little too late. They will get to put some shells on Airwave Activist, though. Airwave Activist will not survive this, almost certainly. And at this point in the game, it's always a cripple fight. Every time. All the time. All the ships have been beat up. All the ships have taken damage. A lot of people don't have any ships left. See Skull Squad up here. And so it's just... It's a pissing match, really. Who can keep points the best? Pivot is going to desperately slide onto the C point and take it back. It looks like Inquiry may have gotten bored. They've got 2 missiles left. Oh, they've got more than 2 missiles left. Where did they hide those? Oh, I was looking as they were launching them. Their last salvo of missiles. Join Airwave Activist, and there goes one. One little blue laser comes out. And the magazine is down. I think it can still fire. But the battleship is here. If you're really good, sometimes you can slide yourself in such a way so that the misses or the hits will hit the friendly ship. You can sometimes cause a little blue on blue if you're really, really careful with your micro. But I think Join is going to be out. C going to be taken by a pivot from Wolfie. No other way. Launching some missiles. Struggling to deal with these little ships, and I suppose, I mean, they've got a Corvette swatter. They've realized that they've got missiles, figuring out how to launch them. Corvette swatter going the wrong way. I think Snow Fox may have discovered the missiles. Looks like they're gonna go contest the point. Curiosity will not be able to stand up to the firepower of those ships if they can just get those guns pointed the right direction, and it's harder than it looks. Edged Arch is still taking plasma shells from Fraud. Fraud going to be doing the damage. Edged Arch almost certainly has no armor left, and so these little tiny caliber weapons are actually going to do a little bit of damage. They might not kill the Raider Drive. The Raider Drive's pretty survivable. But the thrusters might go out. The radar might go out. All kinds of things might go out. The laser is active. So, if the ship has enough power, and it does not, maybe it does if it turns off the radar, to launch the beam. Three golds team versus silver and ENS team. LMFAO. Indeed, it's pretty close. That was a pretty bold move from Skull Squad, HSC, and Wolfie at the start of the match. I don't think it paid for itself, but it definitely put ANS on the back. On the back of the on the back foot. He's doing pretty alright. He's got 2 ships alive, and they're going to be able to cap a point. Game is even. ANS is going to win unless OSP can cap a point, and it's close. We're within 50 points. This is, as people would say, a good game. The MK2 cannon from Ibis. Here we go. Corvette Swatter. Finally, one of them has been launched up here, and it's going to hit. You can launch more than 1 missile, but that is something that will be learned with time. Pentabrick is strong. It was not a pentabrick, it was a hexabrick. It was 6 of them. Now hold Alt to shoot more than 1 missile. That was a pretty miraculous fight over there on the E point. That is a massive ship graveyard. The battleships have made it out alive, but they were pinned down. That is an incredible amount of damage from Shell Game. It's rare to see that much damage on a battleship, I think. How much of that was point defense? Very little, actually. Deep State doing substantial damage. A lot of these guys launched maybe at the wrong ships. Edged Arch managing to live through it all, taking about 100 more damage than they dealt. Most valuable ships on each team. Curiosity. I'm going to give it to Curiosity because Curiosity took the points. It was not a good day to be a tug, they say. They did, according to Neb, terrible. They always do. Active ARAD, active radars can be a little bit... Yeah, they were mostly hard killed. Those little lasers, those blue lasers from OSP are no joke, and they're great against those hybrids. I don't have a problem with the Seekers. People like their Validator Seekers, but it looks like only a couple of these had Validators, but that was not the problem with this game, it looks like. Yeah. 4 is pretty small. Let's see, what else is here? OSP. OSP's most valuable ship. What's it gonna be? Now we've got a little bit of a puzzle here. None of the ships are sticking out in terms of damage. None of the ships are sticking out in terms of usefulness. But they did almost win the game. I mean, I guess that goes to show what, like, psychologically taking control of the situation can do. OSP really was not in a great position that entire game, but they still almost won just by taking the points. Because that's what it is at the end of the game. It's how many points you get in a set amount of time. Shell game, this is a truly ludicrous amount of damage, so I think this game I'm just gonna give I'm gonna give ANS like 3 MVSs and none to OSP, even though OSP really seized the game there. Curiosity, Edged Arch, and Shell Game all did very well. Those 2 battleships did amazing. Really, all of the ships on ANS did amazing, and it's honestly really lucky that this last fleet wasn't like there wasn't some shuttles that were taking the points at all times, because that could have been way worse for ANS. And that's it, folks. Yeah, you can take a lot of damage on some of these ships. That's it, folks.